In the criminal legal system, the most powerful players are prosecutors. Tonight and practically every night, we talk about what it looks like when we hold them to account. Just hours from now, voters will get to weigh in on Larry Krasner's first term as DA in the Philadelphia Democratic primary for district attorney. One of the leaders of the progressive prosecutor movement, Krasner is up against controversial former prosecutor Carlos Vega. We'll look at how each campaign is making its case tonight. We're also following an important story right here in Texas. In Dallas, the district attorney's office was instrumental in getting 2 men out of prison who were wrongfully convicted of murder. Now the prosecutor who tried their case has been disbarred. We'll look at what that could mean for other cases. We'll start with the important vote tomorrow. On the ballot, justice reform and public safety. Let's check in with BNC correspondent Astrid Martinez, who's in Philadelphia tonight.
And it's a heated race centering on the city's mass incarceration rates and a recent spike in gun violence. The incumbent, a progressive Larry Krasner, is on a quest to continue the criminal reform movement and hold police officers more accountable. The challenger is Carlos Vega, who cites last year's murder rate as one of the many reasons he's running. The Philadelphia district attorney race is intensifying, both candidates pushing their agendas, hoping to garner last-minute votes.
It's all on the line, and we're going to make a huge difference on Tuesday, May 18th in Philly. I need your support on Tuesday.
The incumbent, Larry Krasner, spent more than 30 years as a criminal defense and civil rights attorney. He took office in 2018 and promised Philadelphia residents to investigate legitimate claims of racism and over-incarceration. Krasner has helped exonerate 20 people. Some of them were serving life sentences. Challenger Carlos Vega is a retired homicide prosecutor. He was fired by Krasner when the DA's office let go of 31 people for having been involved in wrongful convictions.
I need your support on Tuesday. There have been a lot of lies spread about me.
Vega spent 35 years as an assistant prosecutor and is receiving the endorsement of the city's police union, emphasizing that under Krasner, crime has increased 40% in Philadelphia. Between 2019 and 2020, the number of homicides rose from 356 to 499.
The message is that we don't have to choose between safety and reform. We can do both.
Krasner blames the pandemic.
While we see this 42% level of increase in gun violence in the big cities, we're actually seeing increases in gun violence in places where they got cornfields, where they got farms. We're seeing it in the suburbs, the entire country.
Krasner slams Vega as a man with no regard for the truth and points to Vega's role as a prosecutor in the 2016 retrial of Anthony Wright. Wright was a Philadelphia man charged with murder and found guilty in 1993. After years of appeals and advances in DNA technology, a jury at a new trial found Wright innocent in 2014.
From day one to the last day, I told anybody that would listen that, I was innocent. I wasn't the person that committed this heinous crime against this elderly woman and her family. The prosecutors on the case was Carlos Vega and Bridget Kern.
Wright was awarded $10 million from the city of Philadelphia after a civil rights lawsuit. There is one lone Republican on the ticket for DA, and that's Charlie Perudo Jr. He's a longtime criminal defense attorney. However, it's the Democratic primary that typically determines the race for district attorney. There are more Democratic voters than Republican voters in the city of Philadelphia. Back to you, Yodit.
All right, with me to discuss the Philly DA's race and the case of prosecutorial misconduct in Dallas is BNC's legal contributor and veteran prosecutor Paul Henderson. Paul, let's start with the DA's race in Philly. Why is this race so important even for those who don't live in the city?
Well, I think it's important because it's a sign and a reflection that we're looking at the entirety of the criminal justice process. It's more than just reforming the police. We are now looking at prosecutors, and that's a conversation that we have to have when we talk about addressing race disparities in this society. I mean, here's what happens. Like, once someone gets arrested, it's the prosecutor's role to determine if someone gets charged and how someone gets charged. And that's not an objective science. That's something that is subjective. And so we're raising these challenges specifically in Philadelphia about which direction that we're going to go in. And those voters have to determine, do they want a reform agenda? Do they want a more progressive agenda? Or are they more comfortable with a more conservative agenda? And that's really the difference in these two tracks. And that's what voters are choosing from. I think it's really important in some good examples of where you see that discretion. And we can look back in the past and see where prosecutors have played a role in evaluating our criminal justice system in cases like with George Zimmerman when he got charged with murder and released, in cases like the Capitol riots when people were released, and in cases where we saw discharges in the Ahmaud Arbery case from two separate prosecutorial agencies before there were ever actual charges that were even considered seriously for charging. And so it's an important evaluation to determine for voters how they define their city and how they want to be represented in the prosecutorial seat that's going to represent them. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about why this is part of the reason why it's so important for there to be an inclusive agenda and representation from communities of color on that side of the fence as well that are making those determinations about what fairness, justice, and charging looks like.
Well, when you talk about a progressive agenda, you can't not mention Larry Krasner, who was here with me a few weeks back, and he's known to many as one of the most progressive prosecutors in the country, but some critics have blamed him and his reform efforts for the city's rise in gun violence. Why do we talk about public safety and the efforts to reduce incarceration and create more effective, less costly alternatives to jails and prisons as if the two can't coexist?
I agree. I think that's a false narrative and a false choice that you can't have one without the other. I think we have a demand to address reforms, and we have a demand to redefine public safety, and they're not mutually exclusive. I think it's great that we are now having these conversations. The fact that you brought him onto this show to have him lay out what his ideas are and how he wants them to work, I think is really important. We need more of that so we can make evaluative determinations in the voting booth about the kind of leadership that we want. And these are not new concepts. You can be fair. You can look in the past and overturn bad decisions that have been made by the prosecution in order to address race inequities that take place in our criminal justice system. I think it's important, and that's really what's at stake here in this race and all throughout this country as other races are coming up involving prosecution.
All right, now let's get to that very rare case where a prosecutor here in Dallas County was disbarred for misconduct. The state bar rules former prosecutor Richard E. Jackson withheld evidence in a capital murder case that could have cleared two men. Dennis Allen and Stanley Mosey spent 14 years in prison after being wrongfully convicted of killing a pastor. The men were released in 2014 after the DA's office ruled there was prosecutorial misconduct. They were cleared by, of course, DNA evidence 5 years later. Paul, it seems like prosecutors are under more scrutiny these days, and rightfully so. Why do you think this is?
Well, I think it's just getting a lot more attention now because none of the rules that they are being held accountable for are new. There have been challenges for prosecutorial misconduct since there have been prosecutors. And, you know, I've been a prosecutor a very long time. I've seen a lot of those motions. I think what's happening now is those motions are being supported by evidence and information, especially the key information that I think has expanded in the pipeline of authority of DNA evidence, fingerprint evidence. Those are bringing to light transgressions, or those are bringing to light facts and proof that show that information was available, that information wasn't shared, that people have been innocent. You know, some of the conversations that you've been having on your show about agencies that are partnering with the Innocence Project to evaluate whether or not their prosecutors have acted fairly and behaved justly in cases, I think it's a good trend, and that's the conversation right now. That's why all of this is so important, and the fact that it's now getting media attention, I think is great because it's setting the standard for people to know and understand that their behavior has to be within a certain line. That's why you become a prosecutor in the first place. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't articulate, as we are having this same concurrent conversation right now about qualified immunity and talking about law enforcement, that exact same qualified immunity covers most prosecutorial acts as well. And so when we're talking about reforms to qualified immunity, we have to talk a little bit about prosecution as well. Those standards have not changed in decades, but I think new evidence has changed, and I think new perspectives about reforms and new awareness about race disparities in prosecution has brought us to the current conversation. And that's why we're paying attention now when cases are being overturned folks are being found innocent that had been prosecuted before. And that's before we even start talking about all the statistics that prove that race disparities exist and prosecutorial discretion as well. That's why all of this matters.
Well, when we talk about accountability, we normally talk about that with regards to police officers. Why do you think that prosecutors sort of get, they kind of slide, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
when it comes to the accountability conversation? Why is it that we don't put a lot of heat on prosecutors like we do on police officers?
Well, two reasons. One, I think the act of the prosecutorial roles are, it's wrapped up in legal processes, right? And so that makes it esoteric in nature. And so people don't give a lot of judgment to it anyway because it's the law and lawyers. And then secondarily, I think that there is a perception that that process is objective, and it absolutely is not. I mean, a really good example of that is when you see people that are charged with crime. And again, we can look back at policing. When you see police that could get charged with crime, they tend to be given discretion and go to a grand jury, where 12 lay people determine whether or not a crime could have been committed. Whereas if regular people commit that exact same offense, prosecution exercises their discretion to charge them. And it's examples like that that shine the light on the fact that it's a subjective process to evaluate who's held accountable and how. And we know that African Americans, for example, are charged with felonies 60% times more than white people. And white people are charged 10% more times than black people are given the opportunity to be charged with misdemeanors. And it's facts like that and statistics like that that drive the narrative that we have to be looking at this conversation of what our expectations are for prosecutors and what do we want them to be doing, and how do we influence what they are doing, both as a community and as voters. That's what's at the heart of this conversation.
Absolutely. All right, BNC's legal contributor and veteran prosecutor Paul Henderson, thank you so much for your insight.
Thanks for having me.